At my 20-year high school reunion, the guy who bullied me for being a nobody walked in bragging about his luxury lifestyle. He mocked me in front of the old crowd, asking if I was still working my little job. I smiled, pointed to the banner above us, and said, "Actually, welcome to the reunion. I own the hotel you're standing in." His face dropped. I never really fit in during high school. I was the quiet kid who spent more time sketching in the art room than hanging out at football games. Meanwhile, Mark, the golden boy, varsity quarterback, and prom king, made it his personal mission to remind me how much of a nobody I was. He had the car, the friends, the confidence, and the cruel one-liners that stuck with me for years. Back then, I'd sit in the cafeteria pretending not to hear his comments, but they cut deep. "Don't worry, man. One day you'll make a great barista." Everyone laughed, and I swallowed the humiliation. But life has a funny way of flipping the script. 20 years later, I walked into our high school reunion. Not the scrawny kid from art class anymore, but someone completely different. The gym smelled faintly of beer and cheap cologne, with a disco ball dangling over the same polished floor where we once danced at prom. I spotted Mark immediately. He hadn't changed much, just heavier and louder, standing at the center of a crowd, retelling stories about the good old days like he was still the king of the school. When he saw me, he smirked and raised his voice so the whole group could hear, Well, if it isn't our little doodler, still working your tiny job, huh? You ever grow out of being a loser?" Laughter rippled through the room, the same sting I'd felt decades ago rising in my chest. For a split second, it was like being 17 all over again. But this time, I wasn't going to stay silent. I walked closer, calm and steady, and let him keep talking, his words dripping with arrogance. He bragged about his real estate hustle, about owning half the city. His audience hung on every word. Then I smiled, pulled a small keycard from my pocket, and gestured to the glowing sign above the entrance. The Hilton Grand Ballroom. "Funny story," I said, loud enough for the crowd to hear. "I was nervous hosting the reunion this year, since it's in one of my hotels. But seeing you here, Mark, really makes it worth it." Silence fell like a heavy curtain. His smirk vanished, his drink nearly slipping from his hand. The same crowd that once laughed at me now stared at him, wide-eyed. Mark opened his mouth, but no words came out. A few people chuckled under their breath, and someone muttered, "No way." It was the kind of silence that burns more than any insult ever could. He had spent years living in the shadow of past glory, and in a single sentence, that illusion shattered. I didn't need to rub it in. I just patted his shoulder and said, "Guess the doodler did all right." Then I walked away, leaving him standing in the middle of the gym, stripped of the only thing he had left, his pride. And in that moment, I realized justice doesn't always come fast, but when it does, it's worth every second of the wait.